Hey, welcome to the Tim and Gugabe podcast. This is Tim and Gugabe. How are you doing? I know we did a podcast, I think, like a week and a half ago. And how's the quarantine life treating you?
I no longer recognise days, the week. It's just all blurred into one sort of blob, I guess. How are you finding it? How's the dog?
Yeah, he's good. He's laying on me. Sorry if he barks a little bit, but getting a lot bigger. You actually met him, so he was tiny
Yep.
then. He's still pretty small, but I like. Yeah, it's weird, man. Like I'm in my apartment so much. I don't even remember what day it is sometimes, like, the weekends just blur together with the weekdays, I feel.
Yeah, because you can't hit like a rhythm. Like I'm working from home and that sort of stuff. But it's just like you said, you're on your computer like 12 hours, 16 hours a day at this point, I guess. Like
Yeah,
you're
I'm
walking that sort of stuff, but
I'm
you
doing the
just
same thing, yeah.
I think most people are honestly.
Yeah.
Like, what else is there to do?
Yeah, dude, it's ridiculous, like, I mean, I feel like when they kind of like, I don't try to act like I'm literally an expert on almost, like, no topics, So I'm not trying to act like it, but I feel like whenever you kinda give this quarantine order out, I feel like they expect like 30% of people to still not comply. Um, but it's kind of crazy. Like I'll go out and it'll be like empty, but then I'll see like pictures on Twitter or something at some, I don't know, like the Indiana Dunes is this national park kind of like an hour away from me. And the beaches are just like packed. So it's kind of crazy how like some people don't give a fuck and some people do.
Yeah, 100%. And also, like, it probably depends how many people for these places are attracting, because some of these people can be pulling people like 2 hours drive away, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Whereas,
It's just I feel like it will probably be a thing for, months, I feel, and then it will
yep.
probably slowly go away. And just is what it is. Just gotta take care of yourself. But I I guess we can talk a little bit about this kind of the status of this event. I mean, we talked about Khabib and Ferguson, and it still might be happening, but I don't know what rumors are you hearing? I'm hearing like maybe Gaethje Ferguson.
My gut feeling, based on like George being in Vegas and just like even like you look at the social media of some of the sort of lower guys in the card, they're pretty confident. So I'd price like UFC 249 to happen, like minus 200. And then price Khabib versus Ferguson like plus 400. I just think there's too many moving parts for Khabib Ferguson, particularly with like you have to go from Russia and that sort of stuff. But I think there's a decent chance we get some sort of UFC content on April 18th.
I think it's
That's my
more
feel at the
likely than
moment.
not that it happens, the card.
Yeah,
Khabib Ferguson, who knows? But it's like I was looking at just I don't even follow fighters' Instagrams that much, but I was just for this because when I was taping, I wanted to know like what is the chance of it being worthless? Like, are they even training? And
yeah,
like I know like Hernandez is training, Morass is training in her garage, Sarah Morass. So I
yeah.
mean, I feel like they were probably at least, even if they weren't told it was for sure happening, I'm sure they were told, like, stay ready?
Yeah, they weren't told it's not happening 100%.
Exactly.
Um, yeah, on that front, I'm not really usually one to start capping off Instagram. Like we use it sometimes. The guys had to lay off just because I feel like it can help get a feel for if a person's been training and if they're congealed into a blob of fat. As there's
Yeah.
always a risk of ending off well. But yeah, in this case, I do have a feeling we get something, even if it's surprisingly low budget. Like even and UFC must know, but if they run like something semi compelling, it's gonna do good buys. Like,
Yeah,
and
for
I'm
sure.
sure also the news cycle jump on the UFC or having the audacity to run it, which should even boost the budget even further.
Yeah, what do you like, I guess before we get into it, we usually just kinda strictly stick to the fights, but what do you think overall of, like, because like, the MMA media is just going nuts, and they would have the audacity to hold the event. What's your opinion on that? If you don't have a strong opinion, no worries.
I mean, in my country, we're running horse racing still. Then again, we haven't really got the same level of exposure as the USA has. And like,
Yeah.
I was watching some horse racing today, turning over bonus bets, and there was a lot more than two people involved in the horse race.
Yeah.
Like, a horse race, to run a horse race, you're going to need like 50 people on site because you've got like 10 jockeys a race. Jockeys aren't doing every single race. People, the horses don't teleport to the stable.
Yeah.
So like I just look at that and I'm kind of thinking, as long as you're reasonably stringent with the testing, and also not to dehumanize UFC fighters, but the financial position of the average UFC fighter is such as they kind of have to fight compared to
Yeah.
like the NBA or MLS or something where people can just kind of go fallow and be okay.
Yeah, where I'm kind of at it is I understand if you think like it's not a good idea. I mean, that's completely reasonable, you know? But like at the same time, I think some of the stuff they're missing is like most of the fighters want to fight. And I know that doesn't mean, you have to kind of risk their health, but also you can't really compare it to the NBA and NHL and things like that because they have like 15 games a night every day. Whereas,
Yeah,
we're like so that's like 1 week of the NBA is way more people at risk than one random night on a weekend with the fighters, right? Like because there's just like some people, there's like 15, I don't know. If you think about it, there's like 13 usually matchups, two fighters, like 26. Like that's the equivalent of one NBA game. Or if the NBA was going on, there would be what, 15 games a night for the whole week. So I think that and like I don't know, when you go to the grocery store and stuff, there's still like more people at the grocery store
yeah,
than
100%.
than what it would take to be at a UFC event. And I know a grocery store is a necessity, but still, like I think the MMA media needs to relax. Like I think they're probably right that it's not a good idea, definitely, but I don't think they need to freak the fuck out either. Um,
Yeah, yeah, I'd say so. Also, my kind of view is like with the NBA. I think before the when the NBA went off, somebody did this chart of how long it would take essentially one NBA player to hypothetically infect every other NBA player, just based on like degrees of connection.
yeah,
It was like I think a week for like every player in the NBA to technically be in the same court. Well, in the UFC, that's not exactly the case, is it? Because people have massive layoffs and like you know, fighters don't frequently fight other fighters.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it will
I
take years to diffuse.
yeah, I still think that like I still think it's completely reasonable to think the event should be called off, you know? Like, I'm not saying, like, the MMA medias are fucking idiots for that, but I still think there's other factors and that they don't need to, like, absolutely freak the fuck out over it, like, and write, like, 30 articles. Like, every time I look at my Twitter feed, some article about it, and, like, they're probably right kind of in some ways, but I do think it's apples to oranges with some of the other sports, Um,
And I
but
also,
and like they make way more fucking money, like baseball and stuff. Like fighters don't.
yeah, that's it to me. Like most fighters couldn't really go that long without fighting because they're making 60, 70 grand a year max. I
Yeah,
mean, actually, most UFC fighters aren't making that much. But like, yeah, I'm sure there are NBA players who are living game check to game check because they're idiots. But you shouldn't be on NBA money.
yeah. It's like they're like some of these people, like many UFC fighters are making less money than the average person, where that's not the case with like the NBA, And like
Yeah.
yeah, if NBA players just being an idiot spending their money, that's their problem, Like, that just kind of is what it is, but, um, yeah, I kinda just stand as like, I get they probably shouldn't have the event, but at the same time, they need like, the media MMA media needs to chill the fuck out. I really don't think the mainstream media will really give a fuck if the UFC has an event either. I think there might be, like, a couple negative articles, and they'll move on the next day after, like, something else happens, but, um, anyway, like, I guess we could talk even though we don't know if this fight is gonna happen, and it probably won't even happen, but we can talk about Ferguson Gaethje if it does happen, just hypothetically. What are your thoughts on that?
I think it'd be a great fight. I think Ferguson had good fights for anybody, but I kind of think Gage's been overrated lately just because he's kind of just pressured three guys who are very pressure allergic. And against Cerrone and Vic in particular, it wasn't like he dominated them. Like actually, in all three fights, he got landed on a fair bit himself, and I just don't necessarily. I think he has to kind of get the first round knockout because cardio is that good, or his sort of attrition game.
Yeah.
I kind of back Ferguson to outlast him. So I think honestly, like the Ferguson bet online price right now is like minus 145. I think that could like, easily be value.
Yeah, I think Gaethje is kind of my two thoughts when I think of Gaethje is one, I do think he's a little overrated right now. Like I don't think he's a bad fighter or anything, but when you get 3 first round knockouts, you just by nature you get a little overrated. I mean, that's like a major trend you and I talk about is how first round knockouts in general get overrated, you know? And it's not that like it's always luck, like sometimes that's just like a win condition for you. But I do think it kind of overrates people's lines later. Like
Yeah.
if Gaethje after the Alvarez and Poirier fight was fighting Tony Ferguson before those first round knockouts, what do you think the line would be? Like Ferguson would be a pretty big favorite, I think.
Yeah, but I'd say about minus 250 or so.
Yeah,
And also partly like, the guys Gage is knocked out in the first round do have histories of kind of getting slugged and knocked out in the first round by massive punches.
especially Vic and Cerrone.
Yeah, like Vic and Cerrone, like Cerrone's essentially had like every single KO loss in his career apart from Masvidal has been inside the first round. Like
And
Cerrone's is
Cerrone's been put
absurdly
away
slow motors.
multiple times, like in that kind of time frame when Gaethje did it, like within this year.
Yeah, Cerrone's just absurdly slow style, and everybody's just got on Cerrone immediately. Like I didn't even like necessarily what Gage was doing against Cerrone. Yeah, he got the knockout in the end, but I felt like he should have been pressuring harder than he was.
Yeah,
Because that was
like
like, if
I
Cerrone got more time to develop his game, I think he had more chance of like winning the attrition battle. But he just got kind of knocked out towards the end of the first round.
yeah, like the way I see it, Gaethje kind of just randomly knocked out a few people, and like I mean, he's totally capable of repeating those performances against Cerrone, Vic, and Barboza. Um, and then in his like 3 fights that have kind of played out, and I tend to look at fights like, will they play out? And I tend to think Ferguson, I mean, he could get put away, but I think most likely he'll survive. And I don't know, against Poirier and Alvarez, he got outlanded by a lot. And if Eddie Alvarez kind of starts taking over against you in the 3rd round, I don't think that is good going against Ferguson. And I think people do talk about Gaethje's hard to, like, kind of sometimes get a gauge on, though, but I do think people talk about, like, Ferguson's chin and how it, like, maybe has some issues, but I think Gaethje, like, if you look, like, per fight, he gets hurt a lot more, but I mean, he got hurt by Johnson multiple times. He got put away by Alvarez. He got hurt by Dustin, and his last 3 fights have been like the equivalent of a round, you know? Um,
Yeah,
but
and
I
also
will defend Gaethje and the fact that he absorbs more strikes than almost anyone. So, like, that even though he's been hurt in, like, not that many fights, he's also absorbed more strikes, than, like, generally someone would in a fight.
kind of regionally, he had a reputation for getting hurt by random people. Like it
Yeah,
was like Luis Palomino, where he made Palomino look, that was sort of went to the wire.
yeah,
That was a crazy mess. And also
yeah,
kind of like Gage is the kind of guy I'd play him at plus 200 against 300 body just because I feel like he's a very high variance, volatile style.
yeah,
Like he'll charge you down, he'll throw haymakers, and if I'm playing big dog, I don't mind that skill. I don't mind that skill set. Like
yeah,
it might not be elegant, it might be hard to trust as a favorite, but like if Mike Perry's plus 250 against anybody, I'll probably play him just because
yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's going to charge you down and make you work.
for sure. Hit
Like
a Oh, yeah, go on.
Gagey just can't, I playing dogs. I enjoy that sort of kind of chaos and variance generating style. Because like if he just killed Ferguson inside 3 minutes, I wouldn't be shocked. But still, I think the line here is a bit disrespectful. And
Yeah.
also, like I feel like I honestly think that Connor is a more favourable matchup for Gage than Ferguson is. Just because I feel like Connor is a lot more reliable to break.
Yeah, I just don't think Gaethje can break Ferguson. So it's like he's I mean, if Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier outland you, like, by a significant margin, I mean, I take Ferguson over both of those guys in that type of fight? So, I just feel like Ferguson would kind of just li like Like, it's not like Ferguson hits extremely hard, but he hits, I don't know, he hits, like, respectful, I feel.
Yeah.
He kinda hits normal, and he just is very accurate and lands a lot, and I just feel like eventually it would take over, and it's just kinda like if you're playing Gaethje at plus 115 or whatever he is, I just feel like you're kind of relying on, like, a first 7-minute finish or something, you know? Um, I mean, I guess he could, like, put Ferguson away later on just, like, a random knockout if he's not completely tired, but I don't know, I think his chances go down significantly.
Yeah, and also Gaethje, like he's a nutritional fighter, but he's not like his cardio isn't that good. He's one of these guys who just kind of tries to drive
Yeah.
a slot fest. It's not like he's running away with the cardio,
Yeah, that's what I
which
noticed
is
on the Alvarez fight, like, and Alvarez kind of won the attrition battle, and if Alvarez wins an attrition battle, I don't see why Ferguson can't, you know?
from memory. I feel like Gage's leg kicks were kind of fucking Alvarez. I remember Alvarez. I played Alvarez in that fight. I remember Alvarez kind of dominated the first 2 rounds. The leg kicks were really starting to sort of pile up by round 3. Then he got the knee. Kind of got the knockout. Just from memory.
So it was a little bit of both, but Poirier actually got hurt with a lot of leg kicks too. Like, that's the one I'd have to rewatch those fights, you know? I'd watch them semi recently, but against, Poirier, he was landing like a ton. I think it happened a little bit against Eddie too, but I'd have to rewatch to remember the complete detail. But Eddie like started going to the body a lot in round 3 and really fucked Gaethje up, and that's kind of when he really started taking over.
Yeah, his body defense is not great. Holy shit! I didn't realize that they'd thrown 506 strikes in 14 minutes in Gage Alvarez.
Yeah,
That's
but
600 total 6 strikes between them.
that's also the thing about Gaethje. Like, even though I'm like kind of siding with, and I'm not saying I would like smash Ferguson's line, you know, if they were to fight, I'd still want to research it, and it's still a high variance type of fight, you know. But the thing about Gaethje is he drags you in to. I mean, he lands so many strikes and absorbs so many to where it's kind of like a different type of fight than anyone has fought before, you know? So there is a little uncertainty, I would say, like, because it's not like Ferguson always fights this type of fight. But I mean, I feel like Ferguson, with his cardio, should be able to fight this type of fight, you know?
Yeah, particularly since I don't think either Poirier or Alvarez are like obscenely good cardio fighters, and like Michael
Yeah,
Johnson's always had a history of kind of flagging.
yeah,
Like
agreed. Because
Poirier beat Holloway, but definitely gas down the stretch.
Poirier, it was almost like he was conserving energy to land like bursts, you know, like as the fight went. Where I feel like it was pretty clear Holloway had a cardio edge against Poirier, you know, and like you would put Ferguson's cardio right there with Max, right? Or maybe like I
I think it's similar.
yeah, like it's incredible. His pace is incredible.
Honestly, that's why like Holloway versus Ferguson's like pretty much my dream fight. Like I'd just if that's could somehow be made, that I would want to see that more matchup because I think it would be carnage.
Yeah, I
Like
guess
how
since we're
many
what's
how
up?
many six how many significant strikes do you think would be thrown in a 5 round Ferguson Holloway fight?
If it went the full distance, like I
Yeah, 25
think,
minutes.
I mean, they would both go over 100 for sure.
I mean, just
Um,
attempts.
oh,
Like
attempts.
I think you could say like 800 attempts, 1,000 attempts.
Yeah, yeah, 800 to 1,000, I would say would be in that range. But
Like Joanna Zhang went like, I think that was like 700 between them. Who else would it be? I actually saw the UFC. The UFC added this Hall of Fame records thing to the Fight Pass recently,
oh,
and the
really?
fight with the most significant strikes attempted was what's his name? Modafferi versus give me a second. Fight metric. Modafferi versus the American Indian, the Montano. That was the most significant strikes in UFC history
Oh, yeah, yeah, I
because
remember
they
that
just
fight.
teed off on each other blindly.
Yeah.
That was a
The
fantastic fight.
Yeah, Ferguson in a 5-rounder versus RDA, and RDA doesn't I feel like in a fight with Holloway, like, you'll be able to maybe kinda tee off a little more, you know? And Ferguson attempted 400, you know, against him, and I feel like Max and Ferguson would maybe be a little more wild if it went 5 rounds. Where they were both just like attempting more. So I would say like 800 to 1,000. Like 1,000 would be kind of the high watermark, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty much my preferred, I guess, hypothetical fight right now. My sort of favorite fantasy fight, because I think it would just be a complete insane mess.
Yeah, if we're gonna pivot off to fantasy fights, how about like since we don't really, I mean, you want to talk about that, or is there any other fight on the potential 249 card you want to talk about?
I've got some here. George versus Rose, since George is in Vegas, and Dana seemed to make a point of sharing that. Maybe that's going ahead.
I think we
So,
talked about that last podcast, though. So, like, I guess we can
did we?
kind of not,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think it was the same topic where we just both looked at like now it's gone past a plus 200 on Sportbet. Like I understand Rose won the first round the first time, but like the way I see this fight will be Rose wins first round reliably, Jessica wins third round reliably, round 2 will be a pivot. And I
yeah,
kind of rely. I think Andrade's round 3/cardio edge is more reliable, and Rose kind of hurting her, just because I feel like cardio is cardio regardless, and pace is pace regardless. Whilst if Rose just goes like 5 minutes without badly hurting Andrade, she's kind of fucked.
yeah. No, no. Like, I mean, I wouldn't. If you're asking me would I play Rose at minus 235, fuck no. Like Andrade still has a break you win condition, and it's a pretty consistent one.
Yeah. Also, I'm actually kind of surprised the market actually is like the market actually like used an intelligent pivot onto Rose from the first fight's odds.
Yeah,
Like
because
I
usually
feel
they
like
just look at like
historically,
who won. Yeah.
yeah, I expect like Andrade to be like minus 200 just because she won the first fight. Like I've seen that logic a bunch of times.
Yeah, because
Like
you
speaking
wouldn't
of that,
expect Joanna to be like even against Zhang if they ran it back.
yeah, it's just interesting to see the market actually do it once. Actually, also in the interesting sort of frame as far as that's concerned, Ankalaev being minus 250 this time around. And like, yeah, he's a slightly bigger favourite, but I thought he'd be like minus 400 in the rerun.
Yeah, yeah. It's like I tend to just think Ankalaev will win that fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'm fine with the line, but hold on 1 second. My fucking dog's going crazy. Give me 2 seconds. Here, bud.
Yeah, that's kind of my angle, was just that like Ankalaev in the first fight, the biggest question was can he deal with Kutalaba's burst? And he clearly can deal with Kutalaba's burst, so it's just like that's probably the major sort of tick box, and that's been ticked now. I'm like, yeah, obviously the first stoppage was kind of iffy, but I feel like that's fully replicable. And like, I feel like Cutelaba kind of had to just rely on a sort of meme burst first 5 minute KO to win it, and I feel like we saw enough to sort of suggest that Ankalaev at the very least can hang in that sort of meme KO sort of stratosphere. And
Yeah,
personally,
Ankalaev is just hard to hit too. Like he just doesn't get hit very often, and I feel like he has good defense. So
yeah, because like, yeah, going into the first fight, I was just kind of thinking I can understand why some of Kutelaba KO won or something, but like I feel after watching the first fight, it's pretty clear Kutelaba is not quick enough or going to just burst him. And Kutelaba did get his ass kicked in that one. Like, yeah, the stoppage was a bit iffy, but nothing I saw from Kutelaba was really encouraging in my book.
yeah, I think he'll just be very aggressive, like he kind of always is. He's very come to the inside, Kutalaba, and I just feel like that will just open up. Like if you go after Ankalaev, he'll open up, and so I just kind of think he'll get teed off on. But yeah, like I'm excited for the fight again. It'll still be fun. I still can't
Yeah,
believe they like how they weren't prepared to be in between Kutalaba, like charging on Kalive. Like Kutalaba pretty much goes after like everyone at weigh-ins and just like any opportunity he has.
yeah. Like, I still think Kutelaba's a decent prospect. Just Ankalaev's probably like, he's like top 3 light heavyweight. Like, I'd probably give him the best shot against Jones of anybody at the moment. He's
Yeah,
just,
I do think sometimes he can lack some like urgency, but like skill wise, definitely.
yeah, like, yeah, he's got urgency issues, but he seems like he completes, he seems complete from a skill point of view. He's not an A plus athlete, but he seems like at least a B athlete. Like, Yeah, I think he's got less holes than even like a guy like Rays or something. Like, yeah, as far as Ankalaev just seems very, very good. Which is why it
Oh
was so
yeah,
hilarious when he opened at minus 130 against Alcha.
Yeah,
That's
that
one of
was
the
insane.
all-time weird openers.
you and I were like on that too. I remember when that happened. We just started slamming his line. That
Yeah,
was
it's like I think we both ended up arbing a fair bit of it because we were just like, yeah, Dowdger could meme him. But yeah, that was just like, I don't usually play Juice, but come on, like, Dowdger sucks.
I arbed it because I threw like a lot on that. I didn't like tip it huge just because the line was gone, you know. But I remember I had like probably the equivalent of like 7 units on it, but then I arbed off to where I couldn't lose. But the arb was so big that I still won a few units, you know, because it like didn't he become like at one point? Because I think I arbed him to where Dalcha was like plus 350 or something.
Yeah, it was like that. Like, I think he closed like minus 450 or something like that.
Yeah,
Like, I
yeah,
ended up with like, I think I had like 20 units on the average of like minus 180 because
yeah.
like I got like 5 minutes on 5 units on the original price, just wiping a bunch of bowlers. Then it like kind of stalled at like minus 180 for a bit, and I went, all right, fuck it, more because like it lasted for a few days at minus 180, and I was like, there's no way this is holding.
Yeah, I think I got him between minus 180 and like minus 220, like a ton. Like I was hitting them for like a 36-hour period. Yeah, that was
And like,
insane line.
and just from like a market, like there are lines I've seen with value, which yeah, like value is one thing, but like I was like Ankalaev is going to get pounded by the market because he's Russian.
For
So
sure.
it's like, yeah, it's another case where I could be like, all right, there's a lot of value, like Joanna or something. Like there's a lot of value on it plus 150, and hey, hit it. But like, then the market goes against you. I was like, there's no way the market's supporting Doucher. Like,
Yeah,
come on, Doucher.
for sure. Yeah, that was just a very, very weird line. I remember. Another like, what do you think of this? Is a good fight. Bilal Muhammad, Lyman Good. We haven't really talked about that one.
I wouldn't mind Bilal being a little bit bigger of a favorite. Like, I think Bilal's a very intelligent fighter and all that, but like he's a bit athletically limited. Good's probably a bit more limited skill wise, but also more athletic and probably better chances to win big moments. I have to really have to take a deep look into Good's takedown defense and leg kick defense game. But yeah, I think the price is about right. Like, I wouldn't mind like minus 180 Muhammad, but again, like, because I just trust Muhammad to do the right thing more than I do most fighters. Like, he just seems like a very sensible, smart man.
Yeah, I mean, they both like put up good like stats consistently. Like I think both guys are good. I do think like I would kind of I do agree Bilal kind of like makes good decisions and at least there is a chance he will get takedowns where like Lyman doesn't really even attempt takedowns. So that's kind of like a path to where Bilal could win, where Lyman doesn't go for that win path. So it's not like he's gonna win with wrestling, you know? Um, but I do think Lyman's takedown defense is pretty good. So and I think it should just be kind of a closely lined fight. So I kind of agree with that. Yeah, like who do you? I think this is going to really matter on the feet because I feel like Lyman's going to have to win on the feet if he wants to win. Like, do you have a strong opinion there, or have you not like detail taped the striking or anything?
Muhammad's aggressive boxing defense can be a bit weak if he can't hit a reactive takedown.
Yeah,
But on the other hand, his leg kick game's he's pretty good from the outside. Muhammad's one of these guys who really kind of just pushes to dominate. But again, I think he's got a decent step ahead there. Like, didn't Muhammad fight on Contra? Like, just not using not the MMA mouthing it, but like I felt Muhammad's kind of clearly outclassed when Contra. Well, it's good, kind of had some issues, but yeah.
good fucked him up
I
too.
know if I did he get taken down? Did he get taken down for a decent stretch? Because I remember I definitely played good KO there. I can't remember his sequence.
No, I don't think Chains landed anything. Like Lyman really fucked him up.
Yeah, because he has no striking defense.
Yeah.
I think there was a third round KO, wasn't it? 'Cause I remember I had good KO at like plus 400. I was just like, when Contreras could get punched in the face again and again and again.
I almost played good in that fight, and I kind of was sad whenever it was just complete down. I just tended to think the lineman would at least. I thought he would keep it standing for the most part, and Chance had only been attempting like 3 or 4 takedowns per 15, so it wasn't like he's a Carla Esparza who attempts like 12 takedowns, you know? So your chances of it keeping it on the feet just because of like the willingness of Chance to shoot takedowns is high. But no, Good really fucked him up if you like ran that back. Like, he beat the shit out of him. But I think like and I tend to think the striking will be pretty competitive, but at least Muhammad has the chance to get some takedowns, you know? Um, and
Yeah.
Muhammad, like, he fights smart, I would say. Like, like, if there's like a minute left, he'll try to get a takedown to seal it, you know? Where Good doesn't really do that. So I do think like playing to the scoreboard is important, you know? There's rarely fighters who do that, but there are some who do that, and I think that's always a very important thing.
Yeah, great on that front. It's just, yeah, good. Just, I just think Muhammad's will be a little bit better put together. What else is on the card? I know you don't have a strong opinion on this, but I do. Ben Rothwell versus Jan Vellante.
Take it away, man. I'm not saying anything about this fucking fight.
I just do not understand why Vellante is a big dog here. Like, I just blind capping. When I first looked, I was like, Vellante minus 150. And the market told me plus 200, and I was like, you sure? Like, Rothwell has looked fucked in his last 2 fights. Like, it's possible he pulls a Tibura and comes back from looking fucked in his last 2 fights. It does happen. But
Yeah.
like, pretty sure Vellante will rock up in shape. He's got decent takedown defense. He keeps a decent pace with it, light heavyweight and all that sort of stuff. And really, so the question is if I think Rothwell kind of has to knock him out. And relying on Rothwell, who got completely shit on by Struve, and then removed Struve's testicles and knocked him out. Like that, I bet on Rothwell against Struve, and I got lucky. My opinion of Struve was so low coming into the fight, and like Rothwell got completely rolled by Struve, and he got bailed out with a miracle essentially. So it's just like I think Rothwell's done, and I think Vellante will actually put up a decent cardio, has decent tempo. Vellante's not bad. Like again, I think people are a bit harsh on Vellante's skill set. Like he's never going to be anything pretty good. But yeah, he can put up 100 strikes in the 3 rounder, and he has decent cardio. He's come to decent shape. He's hard to wrestle. I think he's a lot more coherent and competent than Rothwell is at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of a thing where like they both have like negative striking ratios and they both aren't very good, and it'll probably just be like a wild mess. So like I agree from like a principle point of view. Like, I mean, this is like your classic fight and you're profitable on them, you know, like just kind of like messes go with the big dog, you know? Because I remember like what was another one? But we're like I tend to stay away from these type of fights because I'm just kind of a little bit more of a control freak and I'm a coward where I don't know, like because it's one of those things like I'm not confident in either guy, you know, but you still got to play the line. And if you're going to play it, I agree. You got to play the underdog here because it's going to be a mess, and neither guy is very reliable or good, you know. And
Yeah,
they'll both probably land like a similar amount of strikes, like you know, and like either guy can maybe clip each other. Like who the fuck knows, right?
yeah. Like how does Rothwell ever really justify minus 200 here? Like unless Vellante just can't take a shot, and again, Vellante's been hittable, but I don't think he's chinny. The Alex Ajic knockout was a body shot.
True. Yeah, no, he's like overall been like he's fine, like with his chin, you know.
Yeah, like I'm not saying he's a incredible fighter or anything, but he hangs tough. He puts out decent output. He's generally been pretty. He's like sort of average durability for light heavyweight.
This has split decision kind of written all over it if it goes the 3 rounds, right? Like you can kind of just see like each guy kind of landing and having back and forth success, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I just feel the way I look at it, like the worst case scenario is like 50-50, and I feel like Vellante has the upside potential. If it just turns out Vellante either somehow just his speed and athleticism was worth more heavyweight, it wouldn't shock me. And also Rothwell could just slide further off the cliff because like Rothwell against Struve looked awful.
Yeah, and yeah, it's like I do think maybe the line, maybe the reason Robertson's a favorite just because he's a heavyweight and he's coming off a win, where Volante is coming off a loss, and he's like a light heavyweight. That's probably why I would guess the line is what it is. But I mean, I don't know. I'm just not interested in the fight as a whole. But if you're just like into betting every fight, I would say in a fight like this, you got to always go with the underdog, right?
Yeah, I just think from a value proposition point, I just don't see how Rothwell justifies his line. So it's like how I'd rather take a plus 200 into a coin flip than like a minus 140 that should be minus 300. That's my value point of view.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just Rothwell has looked dire lately. Like that Stefan Struve win was meme as fuck. I played Rothwell pretty heavy, so I got completely hilariously bailed out by that one. Like, you remember the fight?
Yeah.
Struve was annihilating him. Then he got hit in the nuts like 3 times. And Rothwell just kind of slugged him off a one-shot restart.
Yeah, that was the most meme fight I've ever seen.
Yeah, but it wasn't like Struve. Like Struve was dominating him. Struve was like with the meme. Like Struve was easily outlanding him and and just making him look bad. Carl Robertson versus Muradov. I think that's probably the next one we're thinking of.
Yeah, this I think it's a close. I think both guys are. I think this is pretty close. It's probably going to be a striking fight like 80% of the time, and I think as far as like from just like a statistical point of view, I think the stat guys might be on Muradov because he lands more raw volume. But in fights like this, I actually side with the guy who shows better defense overall, and I think Robertson has shown to be a little harder to hit, especially against probably better competition. Because it's not like Muradov, Muradov, his 2 fights, like Trevor Smith, who can't strike and is like old, and then D Chirico, who's not like D Chirico's fine, but I do think Robertson's kind of like proved his striking against maybe a little better competition. But I don't know. I guess they've kind of fought similar level of competition. But anyway, I think like Robertson has at least showed that he absorbs only 1.8 strikes per minute, which is pretty impressive. And I feel like it will be super technical here. And I kind of lean Robertson, but I do think this is a very close fight that will probably be decided on a few exchanges, like who lands the harder shot or maybe who lands it at the right time, like, towards the end of the round or something. And in a fight like this, I could see if the striking is close, like a takedown at the end of a round sealing it too. So I kind of feel like this is a fight where it's probably, I don't think either guy's going to completely dominate the minutes. I think it will probably just be like who has the bigger moments in a couple of rounds, right? I do trust Robertson maybe a little more. But what do you think?
I picked up some Robertson like plus 110 kind of stuff. I think I trust his kind of attritional work a lot more than I do Muradov's. Muradov was kind like Chirico had a very good argument to win that fight against Muradov if he'd like pulled the trigger a little bit more in the first round.
Yeah.
And yeah, Chirico is just kind of just like a C-level middleweight. And yeah, Robertson, I've generally been fairly impressed by what we've seen out of Robertson striking wise. I don't like his lack of volume. That's probably the main one I'm kind of iffy on. But like generally, he's been able to put together a decent level of attritional work, and Muradov doesn't seem that volume dominant. Like he unleashed against Trevor Smith, but like Trevor Smith was badly compromised.
Yeah.
And like I don't care too much about volume in an ass whooping. Like
agreed. That's what I'm saying, because like I've talked to people about this fight, and some of the stat people are like, oh, like Muradov lands 4.97 strikes per minute, where Robertson's like 3. But it's like, yeah, but Robertson also has way better defense. Like if you also looked at those numbers, but also it's like Muradov has 2 fights in the UFC, and one was against a 40-year-old who can't strike and has no speed. and Trevor Smith. So, like, of course, you're going to tee off. And, like, the thing about Muradov, he only landed 54 strikes against DiChirico, you know? So, it wasn't like he was high volume in that fight. So I don't expect him to just be able to randomly land 5 strikes per minute against Robertson, because Robertson is harder to hit and he's not Trevor Smith.
Yeah, that's kind of my view of it. Like, and again, Chirico had a very close fight with Muradov. It was kind of like, prior rules, I would have said Chirico won that fight. It was just kind of Chirico not deciding to pull the trigger to where it was late.
Yeah.
So, like, I trust Robertson's gas tank a bit more. I trust Robertson's situational work. But, like, I priced Robertson like minus 140-ish. So I was happy to take him plus 110, I think I got.
Yeah.
I have to check exactly. I know I got like somewhere with like around plus 100, plus 110 sort of price. So yeah, that's just kind of my broad view of the fight. Again, I haven't been huge on Muradov so far. Like, I don't like the karate background because it's usually pretty low volume. And again, he just seems to have a lot of people backing him fairly blindly because he's undefeated and from the region of the world he's from.
Yeah.
And Robertson's losses aren't even that bad. Like Turman, I feel like the Turman kind of almost lost looks a lot better in hindsight because of the Turman looked good against Marcus Perez. And Glover that Glover fight was just crazy. And the same as Cesar Ferreira. Like, getting subbed by a guy who grapples to that level, I'm not particularly like.
Well, yeah, that's not Muradov's game either, you know.
Yeah, and like the Glover one was weird. Like that should have been a Robertson KO.
I do think, like, one thing I like about Robertson too is just like can't just always look at the stats just from like a technique point of view. I like that he really went to that leg kick often against Kopylov. Like, he landed 26 leg kicks, you know? And I just feel like something like I could see something like that. Like, at least he has like maybe tricks like that where I feel like Muradov just kind of tries to go for your head, right? And that he just kind of is what it is. I feel like Robertson's maybe a little more technical where he could like go to something like just landing leg kicks consistently, you know, and just landing a consistent strike in a fight like this could make it be a 30-27, you know? So like I kind of like that aspect to it too, to where I think Robertson might just like find a consistent strike he can land. And I could see like Muradov defensively not having an answer to it, where Robertson, I feel like, is more likely to have defensive answers, if that makes sense, you know?
Yeah. Robertson, he always leg kicks also just seems to do a lot of damage. Because like he only landed 26 against Kopylov, and Kopylov was hobbled badly.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, if Muradov had similar issues to Kopylov with Robertson's sort of diversity of strikes, like I tend to land the leg kicks a lot because I just feel like a lot of guys just can't seem to deal with leg kicks that well. Yeah. And Muradov's sort of stance does kind of leave them open for them. So if Robertson can just consistently leg kick him, Robertson could just run away with this one easily.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying too. Like, because I do think there's I kind of didn't articulate it well, but I think what I was saying is, like, I feel like the strike diversity could really be a thing here, you know, in a fight like this where it's probably like reasonably competitive on paper. And I could just see like Muradov doesn't really he doesn't really land leg kicks at all, and he lands mostly head strikes and will sometimes go to the body, where I just feel like the fact that Robertson will go to leg kicks could give him a consistent strike to land, you know. But I like Robertson though. Like, I think he's pretty good, you know.
Yeah, agreed. He seems like a solid talent. I think he could actually go. He could end up going a bit further in the middleweight division. Like, I think he'd have to make it to rankings, where middleweight is a shallow dumpster fire. So anybody can. Yeah. I think what else worth covering.
I do think that fight's close, though, but go on.
I think Kama Worthy versus Hotman Zaita. I feel like Zaita could be a bigger favourite just because how big a dog Worthy was against what's his name, because he got knocked out the last bunch on the regionals.
Yeah.
But and Zaita just seems like a big hitting random sort of regional can crusher. Like, I've had the Zaitar against.
I don't remember a Zaitar that much. I remember he fought on the Abu Dhabi card, but I don't remember.
He just killed Timu Pakal in like 30 seconds.
Yeah, I saw that. I have to like look into his game more.
I played Toby Collin against him small just because I felt like Gaethje was generally pretty hittable and just all over the place in the regionals. He
Yeah,
just looks like a cane crusher. But
yeah,
I don't think wherever is particularly good either. Like people are kind of reading a lot, way too much into wherever beating Smith. So
yeah,
it just kind of was like an even kickboxing fight, which ended by first knockout.
yeah.
So like, yeah, ICD or ends by KO might be a good play there, but I'm guessing it'll be some stupid price.
Yeah, for sure.
What else?
I think. Well, I guess we can end it on this fight. What do you think of Islam and Hernandez?
Hernandez is a blight upon the MMA universe. May his balls don't square and rustle the corners. Yeah, I'm not a Hernandez fan, but again, I feel eternally robbed by Trinaldo getting fucked by the judges because now, like, yeah, we played Trinaldo at plus 240 or plus 200 if it got to. We were very correct from the value point of view, but
Yeah.
now the market's kind of caught up to that. Like, how does it really beat Islam? Like, maybe a Dariush kind of meme swinging fest sort of thing.
I think that's the only way.
Like Islam, like Hernandez is a low volume and he's enthusiastic, but kind of low volume and kicky on the feet if he doesn't feel like he's got massive athletic edge. And I just think he gets out scrambled massively if he tries to turn into a grappling match. Like Hernandez, I think
He's
he's definitely
not out
UFC caliber.
grappling Islam.
Like Hernandez is definitely UFC caliber, but he's just not that good. Like, there's probably about 30 guys at lightweight that probably take over Hernandez without too much of a stress.
Yeah, he's in that mid tier, like where he can probably. I did like some of the grappling, at least that he showed against OAN, but it's not enough against Islam. It's just like Islam's gonna be a step ahead in the grappling. He just is, and I feel like if Hernandez doesn't have that advantage over you, he can't really like consistently win rounds. You know, like because it's not like he's like a good volume striker, and I still think like I'm not sold on him like the thing is in the regionals and even in any other UFC fight, he's never showed power. It was just that random fight against Dariush, you know? Like if you go watch his regionals, he never really did that to anyone. And so I think that was really just kind of like a random KO.
Yeah, he just bum
Like
rushed Dariush. He
you know like
starts slow and 40.
yeah, like he just hasn't shown me power in any other fight. Like if he did, I would be like, "Oh yeah." Like his so it's like really how high is that win condition anyway, you know, of like him randomly landing a KO. But the Islam's like one of those fun where like, he there are kind of like some stat guys who will be like, "Oh, he doesn't land enough strikes," you know? Um But if you look, like, first of all, he lands insane amount of takedowns, so he's, like, high volume in that, and he's just an incredible grappler, but he doesn't get hit at all. So it's like, if you're only landing 2.1 strikes per minute, and most of that is because he doesn't throw strikes on top, but when he's on top, he's winning anyway. But when you only land 2.1 strikes per minute, and you're only absorbing 0.76, it's like that striking ratio is better than if you were landing 5 strikes and, you know, absorbing 4.8. So, like much better. So, like, I kinda just focus on ratios. It's kinda like the Leon Edwards thing, you know, because he doesn't have insane raw volume because he doesn't land a lot of ground strikes, but he's still winning the ratio battle almost every time. So
Yeah, 100%.
that's the way I see it. Like, I don't think Hernandez can win this fight unless if he's got to win a random KO or he's got to win just like a very iffy split decision if Islam just decides not to do anything. But I feel like Islam, I think, is going to know he has a grappling edge here, and I think he'll push that pace. And Islam always does that thing where he clenches you up with like double overhooks or like an over under, puts you against the cage, and then he like works his trips and shit from there. And Hernandez got caught up in that position even against OAM multiple times. You know, so like I just feel like Islam will probably get his grappling going at some point.
Yeah, Hernandez just feels very kind of hustle reliant, I guess.
Yeah,
And I don't
yeah.
think he's a good enough athlete to really rely on that at a decent level.
Yeah.
Like, I think he can definitely beat like Roosevelt Roberts and that kind of level of fighter, but like, I don't think he's. He kind of caught Dariush early, and I think Dariush at this point in his career is quite chinny. Like, even against Close, like the first time Close landed semi-step on Dariush, he went wobbly.
Yeah.
And Dober, same thing. Like, Dariush just seems to be pretty chinny. He just happened to be the one who caught Dariush like that.
Yeah.
Again, like, my hope is somehow Dariush gets Hernandez rematch and destroys him. That's like the part I want to say. It to be satisfying.
Yeah, and one other thing, like there, because just like the people who kind of point out like Islam Lova, like the time he's had a distance striking fight against Davi Ramos, he outdistance struck him 30-5, and it was like dominant. And like I know, but like he doesn't get hit, and he still picks his shots, and I just feel like Davi Ramos and Hernandez, as far as like I mean, Davi Ramos outstruck Austin Hubbard, and like Austin Hubbard and Hernandez are probably similar tiers on the feet, wouldn't you think? Like,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't think either guy would like maul either one on the feet. You know, I think it would just be like a fight, and it would just be kind of competitive. Like I don't know.
Yeah, I think Hubbard's probably a bit more intelligent with his like having body shots and leg kicks and that sort of stuff. So like, yeah, Hubbard could probably be very competitive against Hernandez in the fight.
Yeah, and like it's just kind of like Ramos isn't a like I just feel like Ramos and Hernandez are probably like similar tiers on the feet, and Islam absolutely dominated him there. You know, so like even if it stays there and Islam decides not to wrestle, I feel like he'll just win the striking too. So
Yeah, like
because like even though
maybe
that's low
Hernandez,
volume, that was very clear that Islam was winning. You know,
maybe Hernandez sloppy Sonny Cage grindy sort of thing. Maybe.
I don't think
But,
so. I think Islam would like if he does that. I think would just get his overhooks and just turn. I think he's stronger positionally against the cage and would probably just win it. Like Sarukian tried. Sarukian, in my opinion, is a better wrestler than Hernandez, and he was pretty much outmatched against Islam. Like he made it like competitive at times, but Islam pretty much he like 30-27 them in a pretty like semi-competitive fight, but Islam was always a step ahead, you know.
I'm trying to think. Is Sarukian prior to OAM? Or am I getting mixed up?
Yes, he did. Yeah.
Yeah, and like
They
Sarukian,
all
like
kind of fought each other, you know.
very incestuous. But like I remember Sarukian kind of dominated OAM a lot when they grabbed when Hernandez did. Like Hernandez definitely won
Yeah,
the
he
fight
did.
against OAM, but they both had big moments.
Yeah.
Like,
It's just if you
just,
watch that, like it's pretty clear to me that even if you just like watch the styles and don't do MMA math, it's pretty clear to me Islam will be able to kind of bully him in the grappling. And he's just way like his hips are incredible, like Islam's top game. But Hernandez will try to grind you up against the cage like he did to OAM, and OAM was turning him around. And if OAM can do that, like Islam's going to get an overhook or double overhooks and just turn him around and probably get his game going from there, you know? Um, and like I see the thing is I don't hate Hernandez. Like I feel like you have a little burning hatred, but like I think he's fine, you know? He's like UFC caliber, and that's kind of it, you know? Like and I think he's just a little limited. Maybe like eventually, like he's still a good athlete, and he does have some grappling. So like if he improved his striking, I do think he could become a decent lightweight, you know, like a solid lightweight. It's just I don't think he's there yet, you know.
yeah, I think he's UFC caliber. I just kind of I'm reluctant to ever see him being back in the 20 discussion.
Yeah.
Like he's only in the top 20 because he cheap shot Dariush, and he got a hilarious decision over Trinaldo.
Yeah, I don't think like Drew Dober would light him up, right? I mean, I think he
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, Dober, even Jim Miller these days. Who just beat Jim Miller? You're
Holtzman.
very passionate.
That would be a fun fight. Holtzman Hernandez, like they're both kind
I
of
think Holtz would take him pretty clearly. I think
I
Holtz
think
is pretty
Holtzman would
one.
probably win that fight, just like because I don't think Hernandez could out grapple him, you know, and at least like Holtzman can be a little hittable, but at least like I think he might be a little busier, you know, on the feet. It would probably be it would be competitive though, you know, that fight.
And also get against Ronnie, Hernandez looked very hittable. Just like Hernandez stopped himself being hittable against Trinaldo by refusing to engage whatsoever.
Yeah, and if you don't engage with Trinaldo doesn't do anything. That's just and yeah, like I thought Trinaldo won that fight. That was it was still like super low volume on both sides, but that was a weird fight. Like Hernandez was obviously very gun shy,
It was like Makayev versus Ramos. It was like, yeah, it's low volume fight, but one dude is clearly landing more and hard.
Yeah.
So it's like,
I think Islam did win his fight by a higher margin than Trinaldo, but I do agree, like, and he landed the much harder shots too.
Yeah. Again, I'm also curious to see how Hernandez comes out because, like, is gun shy Hernandez now just a thing?
I have a feeling he's going to come out hard versus Islam, just because I feel like kind of like versus Dariush. I think he'll think he's kind of fucked. Where I don't know. Like I think he's just going to come out swinging and like hope he maybe gets some early success. But I mean that's complete speculation. He might come out gun shy too.
Yeah, we get a 36 strike to 25 6-strike mess, and Hernandez will somehow win another unanimous decision on his way to the top.
Yeah, for sure. But all right, I think we've been ranting long enough. But I thought we should just like talk this week, get some content out there. Hopefully, we get the card, and we'll do another one next week on some random topics too. So stay safe in Australia, though.
Yeah, I'd actually just rewatched Hunt vs Bigfoot. Still the greatest fight of all time, in my opinion. So it's such a high. Honestly, there was a lot of like Mark Hunt's game. We actually like watch it again and again. You can pick up so much nuance to it.
Yeah,
it's one of these guys had like 4 tools. We just learned how to use those 4 tools together so well. But yeah, like Bigfoot Hunt's always like that's just an incredible fight.
Yeah, I don't always like complete wars like that, but I hear you.
Oh come on, the last 2 rounds that are just nuts. Sort of, it's just that's the entire point of the sport.
I was watching that fight with 3 people who don't really watch MMA, and they were like screaming, like freaking out.
I mean, everybody. I watched a lot of MMA. That fight's almost. It's insane. Just the optics of that 5th round where they're both just covered in blood.
Yeah, it was absolutely. I can't believe that went 5 rounds, right?
Yeah. I think GTD was like plus 800 or something like that. Like, you check like historical odds, like Mark Hunt's decision was like. Because, like, like logically, how does that fight go the distance?
Just them surviving 30 knockdowns.
Yeah, like it doesn't make any sense that fight would go the distance. Like, let's check. It was GTD was plus 705.
Yeah, and
I think that's the highest GTD I've ever seen.
The ref probably could have stopped in multiple times too.
Yeah, 100%. But like, have you seen the GTD like bigger than plus 700?
It's probably like one of the higher ends I've seen.
I'm just trying to think what else I can't even think of any other ones were around there. And Ferosh Vader was also plus 480 to go to decision.
Oh, really?
Ferosh aired every set of that plus 480. Like, actually, imagine if you were like a casual viewer watching that card and you just saw Ferosh get mauled by Vader and then Bigfoot versus Hunt.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Like, I picked the right card.
Well, it's just like your conception of what a fair stoppage is.
Yeah, true.
Jocko was plus 200 in his debut. Fuck. I don't know that. I'm just looking at like historical best fight odds. Amusing sometimes.
It's hilarious because we'll like use hindsight and look at old odds and be like, fuck, like I would have easily hit that. It's like, yeah, well, we kind of know now like some answers we may have not had before.
Yeah, still, but some of these just like it's just weird to see some guys in their debut where they're like nasties.
Yeah.
Or like the guys who were like Alex Garcia. Remember how he was like this huge prospect for a while?
Yeah.
Like I remember like Sherdog and all that. Alex Garcia was like their number 1 weight prospect sort of stuff. And, like Alex Garcia was closed at minus 600 in his debut. Sorry?
Looking at Khabib's historical odds are funny too.
He's like a sort of decent prospect odd-wise a bit, and he just suddenly shoots like minus 5.
Yeah.
Like, wasn't he a dog against T-Bar?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
And he was like even money against Kamal Shaloris. Kamal is a WEC guy, like lightweight. At least I think that. I think I'm thinking of the right guy.
Yeah, even like you look at Andrade, like Andrade went through this like period in her earlier career where she was big though she was dog a few times.
Yeah.
Before picking when she started coming down in weight. I don't know, it's weird seeing that sort of angle. She was plus 270 against Gaethje. I bet on her against Gaethje. I can't remember it being that big a dog.
Who?
Andrade versus Gaethje.
Yeah, she was a
plus
huge
270.
underdog in that fight.
I bet on her, and I think I got like plus 200. I just didn't realize she was that big a dog.
Yeah, she beat the fuck. She looked like she was minus 900.
Yeah, because like she was a bigger dog against Gaethje than she was against Joanna,
Yeah,
which is crazy.
that's MMA for you though. But
I know. Just,
I gotta roll though. But we'll do this next week and stay safe.
yep, send you. Have a good one. Bye.
See you, man.